The opinions and recommendations expressed by Dan are his own and do not necessarily represent the opinions of this station or any of the show's sponsors.
Welcome back. Financial Issues, American Family Radio Network. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. By the way, all the major indices now negative. The Dow's down 15. Everything else is negative as well, slightly. So that's what's happening. And again, we'll wait and see. Hey, we got some auto sales numbers. Chrysler came in 8%. Their auto sales increased 8% in the month of January. That's a pretty good number. Chrysler usually reports first. Then we get Ford and GM in that order is the way it usually goes. But Chrysler, let's see, sold U.S. sales. Chrysler, now an Italian company, by the way, bought out by Fiat. Our tax-paying dollars, yeah, that's, they've kind of shifted over to, are supporting. We help to support the sale. Isn't it good that we bailed out that American company to keep it American? Isn't that a great deal? Well, they're owned by Italy. Anyway, I'm not going down the road. I don't want to go down that road. But anyway, their sales were up 8% for the month of January. So we'll wait and see what the other automakers. But the big number, of course, ISM, and that'll be out. We'll get that in the second hour. 866-300-9298. Let me go to Lee in Texas. Hey, Lee. Lee?
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Dan.
Sure.
I was just listening to you a little while ago, and I heard you speaking about the unemployment rate and how it's dropping, or supposedly dropping. My number one concern is who's counting many of us that have fallen off the backside? We're not leaving voluntarily. We're just been told you don't exist anymore. Get out of here. Basically, that's what our government said to us.
Well, yeah.
And so we don't exist.
No.
And there's no voice for us. There's no way to do anything. And yet they say we're getting better. I don't see better. I see nothing but continued getting worse.
I'm with you. Nobody's getting better. When they do the surveys and the folks that have just dropped off the back of the wagon, it's as if they were never even on the wagon to begin with, and they just disappeared. And, but see, the government has convinced everybody that, or at least it thinks it has, that all of you folks that are, out of the labor participation rate are all sitting on a beach or playing golf somewhere. That's what they've got us convinced, which the numbers don't bear that out at all. As a matter of fact, the highest rate of unemployment is from 18 to 25, and then it goes from 45 to 55 as another huge group. So everybody's not retiring. It's their excuse. So, I don't know what's happening. And if you're one of those people, then, you've got no voice. I mean, you can go to your representative, but you've got no voice. And, we're sitting here forced to take this garbage coming out of the BLS, which is garbage in my opinion. I mean, you've got a government organization that is still picking up the phone and doing surveys. I mean, from the 1980s. They probably still have dial-up phones. I mean, that's how we come up with the numbers. We live in an era, they don't realize this, we live in the 21st century where we have real-time data that the night before the numbers come out, make a phone call to your other organization called the IRS and say, hey, how many people were put on the payroll this month? It's real time. You get real-time data. But no, we'd rather pick the phone up and call, 2,000 people and say, hey, are you doing anything? Well, yeah, I was babysitting for my children. Well, then that's work. So you're employed. I mean, that's pretty much what it's happening. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. So I don't know. I don't know what's happened to all of the people that are in this 37-year low of labor participation rate. You mean to tell me that we don't need those people that we needed 37 years ago? We have had no growth in an economy in 37 years. And by the way, we've had no population growth in 37 years that surely we're fine, we're recovering when we have a labor participation rate of 37 years? Listen, do you really need a PhD in economics to figure out that math just doesn't add up and it's not even feasible? And that's what we've got right now. It's insanity. Lee Wayne from Texas. I hope that, do you have another question, Lee, or another comment?
Well, just that, we may be in a low labor participation, and that's because we're actually farming it out to foreign countries.
Yes.
And not allowing our people to work.
Yes. Absolutely.
And then not having anything.
Yep.
I've been unemployed now for an extensive time. Finding a job, I can't, because of my past history, I can't even get a job flipping burgers at McDonald's, because I'm overqualified. And yet if I go in somewhere else, I'm underqualified, or I'm too old. They won't say that, but when you walk in and you got better qualifications than somebody that's 20 that goes in there and he gets an interview and you can't even get an interview, something's said.
Yeah, it is. Exactly right. And you know what? You have every right to be angry. And you ought to be angry at all the politicians in all of Washington, angry at your own legislator, whoever it is, your own legislative body there from Texas that is not raising these issues. It's horrible. And we've got all these people, these long time. So the president, folks, they're getting together businesses. They're getting together Walmart, Apple. I think today, as a matter of fact, I'm not sure, today or tomorrow, they're going to end up going to the White House for a conference. And in this conference, the president is going to ask them if they will set up their hiring so that long-term unemployment is not a consideration for whether they hire somebody or not. And apparently everybody's on board with that. Well, they should be. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's great. I mean, you shouldn't, we don't live in an environment today where we ought to be punishing people that are long time unemployed by saying they've been out of the workforce too long. I'm not hiring them. That's wonderful. So they're all going to agree to it. The president is looking at this as a step in the right direction. Here's the problem. Of course, all the companies are going to agree to that. And of course, most of the companies from an ideological standpoint don't have a problem with that. Of course. Here's the problem. You still have to have demand. The problem is not that. You can fix that problem. Okay, so the president's fixing that problem. You still need companies to want to hire because they're in a growing economic environment. Has that occurred to anybody? It's like saying banks aren't lending to small businesses. They're not lending to small businesses because small businesses don't want any money because they don't know if they're even going to be in business a year from now. And when you survey small businesses, that's what they tell you. Lending is not a problem. We're not looking for more money. We need growth so that we can do whatever it is we do, whether it's cutting lawns, whether it's manufacturing something, whatever it is. We need growth so that we can do what we're doing. Then we'll think about borrowing money to expand. We don't need to do that. Nobody thinks of that. Ridiculous. Dow's down 45. Let me go to Bernard. Bernard's calling us from Texas. Go ahead, Bernard. Bernard, you with us? Bernard. Okay, we don't have Bernard. Let me go to Ron from Texas. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, this is Ron from Texas.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, Mr. Steele, I appreciate you taking my question. Let me give you my information and then tell me what some avenues I can take.
Okay.
I resigned from government work last year, and I started a new position. Well, I'm going to take a hit for a loan against that savings that I had for $8,600. That's a given for 2013. But I still have about $15,000 in my TSP,
right.
And I would like to take it out of there because I can't add to it. I'd like to know what are some of my options to do with it once I pull it out. I've thought about pulling it out and taking a hit. I really didn't want to take the hit because I can pay my bills right now, but I thought about pulling it out, taking the hit, and paying off some bills. But I'm going to go ahead and hang up so I can hear you better over the radio.
How old are you, Ron, before you hang up?
I'm 45.
Okay. So here's the thing, Ron. there's two things. The only way you cannot take a hit on that is if you roll it over, which you can do. So you have this TSP over there, you're going to roll it over in an IRA account. So you're going to open up an IRA account and you can roll it over into your own personal IRA. That will keep you from having to pay the taxes on it. So or the 10% penalty. So that's one option. And then you can begin, if you're not doing it at your company now, hopefully you have a 401k or a plan in which you can contribute now. But in case you don't, then you've got an IRA that you can contribute to every year. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is take it. I would rather not see you take it if you don't have to, because, you're 45. It's not that you're old. You've got a good 20, 25 years to work, and, that's fine. But, it's a fair amount. It's a good start for an IRA. And, depending on what you have right now, if you don't have a program in your new company that you're able to contribute to, I definitely wouldn't want you to pull it out. I'd rather see you plug away at your debt, peck away at it the best way you can, and continue to try to just take one at a time and pay someone the principal and go to the next piece of debt. So I'd rather you do that. But if you do pull it out and you pay the 10% penalty and the tax on it, I would want you to be committed, totally sold out committed on taking the money that it frees up. So now the money that was going to pay this debt, you don't have anymore. You don't have that payment anymore. I want you to be sold out committed to taking that extra discretionary income or that extra cash flow that you have every month and get it back over into your retirement or back over into your savings. I don't want you to just change your lifestyle or whatever. I want you to commit to saving it. It's a great thing to get out of debt because, 45 is young, and you still have 25 years, but you got a little chance here to have a little bit of a nest egg started, and that's a good place to start. Unless you really feel confident with a new job, you're making more money, and you're able to contribute in a higher way to that 401k, then that's fine. But even if you do pay that debt off, make sure you're committed to saving some of that cash flow that you free up. Let me go to Rick. Rick's calling us from Ohio. Hey, Rick.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Good.
Good. I enjoy your program when I get to listen to it.
Thank you.
I got a quick question for you about, I've got some money in a deferred comp, and because I'm retired, and the interest that they're paying is just above 2%.
Mm-hmm.
I also have some money invested in BlackRock High Fidelity High Yield Bond,
mm-hmm.
And I wanted to see what you thought about me shifting some money over there because I want the yield. They pay about a little over 5.5% in regards to interest.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right about the yield. That's a good thing to move it over there. But remember, any kind of high yield fund, is made up of a lot of, less than credit worthy bonds. That's why they pay a higher yield. So if we had a major, particularly with the BlackRock fund, if we have a major issue in internationally or here in America with bonds, which I think we will, and the economy, you're going to lose value. So you're not going to, you're not going to lose the yield. The yield will still come. As a matter of fact, the yield will probably go up as it loses some value. But remember, if you shift over, let's say, whatever it is, it's just $50,000 for conversation's sake, that $50,000, could be, go to $35,000. But yes, you'll still be getting a higher yield. So I guess the real question has to be, Rick, is whether you're what your mindset is. If your mindset is, I just got to have income, I need the yield. Obviously, I'm retired and I need the most yield I can get, and you're actually using that yield, then that's fine. But I would rather, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to my website, financialissues.org, and click on in the middle of the screen there at the top. there's a little banner there and it says A Case for Income. I want you to click on that and read it in your free time. That'll give you some idea and answer some of the thoughts where I'm coming from. But I think that if you have a preservation of principle mindset, hey, I got this, I'm not going to need it till another 5-10 years, then I probably think you ought to stick with what you have right now, because you're doing pretty good. You're beating inflation, and you're getting 2%, and you're preserving your principal. So not a bad thing. 866-300-9298. You're listening to American Family Radio Network Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. We'll be back.